Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. With major roster mania developments that make it very clear indeed that the FaZe trio that has terrorized the league in many respects for the last several years will be totally breaking apart. Shotzzy gives his perspective on this situation and many other things as well. The last couple of years have not been good for OpTic in terms of a record versus the Atlanta FaZe. Yes, at the end of the season, both occasions, they have won the championship, but he does believe that Simp, aBeZy and Cellium breaking apart could well be, in hindsight, a big regret for these players. What do you guys think in the comments? Very much enjoy your thoughts down there. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, plenty to get into because so much has happened the last few days. I just wanted to share a few comments from around the league as we discuss all that's been going on. Karma's talking about the onstage coaching, and he made his thoughts clear on this the other day, suggesting that he was actually pretty happy with it at the end of the championship. He feels like it was a good balance of being able to help the team in some regard and being more useful, and also having a bit more of a skill gap maybe, because if the coach knows what to say and when, it's not like he's just going to take over the comms of one specific player. Karma realised that the best way to do it is not really to talk all that much, say a few things here and there, but not just absolutely talk their ears off of the players. You've got to allow the players to solve their own problems, but if you can say, okay, hey, they're probably spawning here, or, look this way, look that way, you're looking for one player, that can be beneficial. Karma wants it to stay. He doesn't want it to go. It's funny how it works, isn't it? Because before the tournament, we were saying on the channel that for many years, people have called for this. People wanted it. But at the time, the World Cup had a bit of, it's not like the World Cup's reputation has changed really, but, going into the World Cup, the game was looking a bit suspect. There were a few things, single elimination, that people were not really so happy about the World Cup for. And then when they made this change, which was a surprise to everyone, to allow coaches on the stage to talk with the players, it was like, damn, another reason why this is going to be a bit of a Mickey Mouse tournament. But actually, and there was lots of criticism for the decision at the time. Octane Methods are very vocal about their opinions on it at the time. But after the tournament has concluded, I think most would agree, at least I would say the fans were more happy with it than they were not. And even when guys like Karma are saying, actually, yeah, I want it to stay around, and with time, it'd be pretty godlike to have the coaches on the stage. When Karma says this, it's got to be something that the Call of Duty League considers, whether they put that in as an option next year. How that would work online, I guess, is kind of interesting, but certainly on LAN, it's something that I would kind of like to see, at least trials for the first half of next season. Karma's been talking an awful lot as well about, language barrier and some other things. This, of course, is not strictly relevant in terms of actual language spoken when we talk about the Falcons, but it is going to be a conversation, right? There has been talk about XNID and Cellium and understanding what Cellium actually has to say. Cellium's played with the same players for a long period of time, and it's not like his team won't be able to understand him or won't be able to figure it out or whatever, but it's just going to be a new environment, right? It's something that Cellium's not had to deal with because for the vast majority of his career, he's played with Simp and aBeZy. That's now changing. It's also changing for Simp. It's also changing for aBeZy. I think, who will it affect more out of those players? It is a very interesting question because you look at Simp and, many would argue, there's definitely people out there that say, and I can understand the logic, that aBeZy is better than Simp or has been more impactful than Simp. But I think in some years, maybe you can make that argument. And you can maybe make the argument that aBeZy was very enabling to Simp, certainly when aBeZy was at his very best. I don't buy that fully, personally, but I do see the logic in there. And to see how they will fare without each other is going to be very fascinating indeed, to see whether, Simp looks the same without aBeZy, or whether it looks better, or whether aBeZy looks better or worse, or whatever, where Cellium goes. It's going to be so fascinating, and I think we've been kind of waiting as a community for this roster mania for quite some time. Now, there's all sorts happening with the Falcons situation, because it seems, at least as a recording, as long as Falcons haven't massively upped their number, that Scrappy's going to stay with the Thieves, and whatever Falcons offered was not quite enough. We'll get therefore to what Falcons are going to do in a second. A few more of the top 20 players of the year. Huke comes in at number 8, had a phenomenal year really, great comeback season for him. His performances in many of these feature statistics incredibly impressive, had one of the highest KDs of the season, certainly as an SMG, and just was such a huge part of OpTic's success this season. Number 7 went to Neptune. Of course you can argue these which way around it should have gone. What's very interesting, though, of course, is that Neptune isn't really, at least as it stands, in too many of these top conversations. You know, it's remarkable, right, though. He played 5 tournaments this year. He wasn't at Major 1, right? He didn't play with them at Major 1. He comes into the team, and with the exception of the top 12 stinker at Major 4, he made the finals every single time. So, you know, his impact was pretty undeniable this season, Neptune. I don't really know why he's getting overlooked right now, other than that he's played in the league before, and some of his previous stints weren't as impressive. It's the only thing I can think of, really, because this argument that some have suggested that, oh, well, he tried to sketch on his team, and therefore, you know, we don't respect him anymore, whatever. It's like that, I don't know really if I buy that. Like, I think if a player was good enough, okay, if Simp was trying to sketch on his team before an event, do you think that would change anyone's opinion on whether they sign Simp or not? No. It's like, you know, he's still that guy. So I don't really understand why this would, apart from maybe some individual relationships, affect things all that much. There must just be some other reason why the pros are just, you know, believing maybe that Neptune has had a really good season, it's not going to happen again. I don't know, maybe he rubs people up the wrong way, or he doesn't maybe have the best relationships in the scene. It's a little bit confusing because I think Neptune's impact this season was pretty undeniable, to be honest. As I say, maybe people are looking back on his past and saying, well, you know, he had some seasons where he wasn't quite as good, maybe he was just a Black Ops 6 merchant. But I think it's far more likely that he just improved as a player, right? So, introduce your thoughts on that. This was Dashy. He comes in at number 6. So, I mean, his numbers at the World Champs, I mean, his World Championship KD 1.23. Esports World Cup KD 1.14. So, you know, when it mattered at the end of the season, Dashy massively turned it around. Now, let's talk about some of the ARs, and especially what the Falcons are going to be doing here in a second, because Octane gave his thoughts the other day on the main AR as a role. We know that back in the day, there used to be very distinct roles. You used to have an objective player. The TPs, the nade shots, the sensors of this world, they would capture the flag. They would dive on that domination point. They would be planting the bombs. That's how it used to work, and that kind of changed over time. People realized that it was kind of more efficient, and especially with the way that the games have evolved and the pace that the game is now preferably played at, that if I'm first to the hill, I'm not waiting for my objective guy to go in first. I'm just sending it in first and keeping it moving. But for the last few years, there's been the concept of a slaying SMG, an entry SMG, a flex / like slaying AR, and then a main AR. And the main AR typically will reside anchoring the spawns. It's kind of like the old school anchor role. It's more flexible nowadays, everyone kind of knows that. But when you look at a team composition, you tend to think, okay, who's like the slaying AR and who's going to be the main AR? Like, you know, you look at a team like Toronto over the last few years, Scrap was obviously the slaying AR, Insight was a very traditional main. But times have kind of changed, right? And Octane says, because when Octane was playing, this is kind of how it was. He would be the main AR, expected to drop good numbers because he's posting up on hate glitches, not moving around all that much and doing what it takes for the team. Or sometimes sitting in the hill, whatever's necessary. We've kind of seen that a little bit, but I feel like in some regard, the reason why Dashy's got a bit better over the last couple of seasons, yeah, he's locked in, he's understood how he needs to play a little bit better, become a better teammate. But Dashy, we know that in his early days, wasn't a main AR, right? He was a Maddox, absolute run-and-gun superstar, really, with that weapon. And he became a main AR over time. But the reason I think why Dashy's style now works is because, yeah, he's a main AR, but he definitely plays it at a significantly higher pace than some others do. And Octane's opinion, really, is that the concept of a main AR is no longer necessary in the same way. Talk about that Scrap and Ken AR duo definitely raises questions as to whether you really need a main in that situation. And especially this becomes true when you're starting to talk about a team like the Falcons, right? Is Cellium going to be their main AR? Like, I guess on paper that's probably how it's going to be perceived, but maybe he should play at a pace that doesn't make that so clear. So Zuma talked about it last night, and he pretty much just put it out there that Sib is probably going to be going to the Falcons. To be honest, this could have happened before the World Cup even happened. Then Falcons have obviously played around with trying to get Scrap. That now seems less likely, and therefore they're looking to get Sib instead. So, Pred, Xnid, Cellium and Sib, that's the reported team. There's going to be a lot of kills getting played for on that team, that's for sure. Is it going to work? Who knows? But it's going to be happening. And then some talk about where they're going to finish, you know, because I'm sure that team, like, I think they're right in their analysis, really, that Falcons roster has a very high ceiling, but also an incredibly low floor. So that's the Sib Falcons rumor. Of course, we've heard about this for some time. It now seems to be becoming more and more likely with what's happened the last couple of days. So a Sib, Exnid, Pred, Cellium team. Look, we'll definitely talk about that more over the coming days if it comes true. But I wanted to share this clip, especially here from Shotzzy, talking about the FaZe trio. He's obviously watching back some of the games that they played against in this season and how, you know, FaZe just had their number, really, for the last 2 years until it really mattered when they no longer did. But aBeZy, Simp, and Cellium have, as I said at the start of the video, been terrorizing the league for a number of years and live rent-free in the head of plenty of players in the league as a trio. The idea of that entire trio splitting up, Simp staying on FaZe, Cell going to Falcons, aBeZy potentially going to the LA Thieves, puts the league in a real interesting position to see how that goes, but Shotzzy recognizes how deadly that trio was and is kind of still a little bit surprised they actually did it.
Zuma just said it's Sib. Have a good day, guys. Okay, well, Tommy said it, not me. Tommy just said,
oh, shit.
Rumored Sib to be going to the Vegas Falcons. Per Zuma in chat. He might have had a glass of vino. It's his birthday. I mean, he might be feeling dangerous.
Dang. Ronnie said he's working on confirming it.
If that's true, I mean, that's kind of like one that I think people were already anticipating before the whole scrap agenda started.
I could have sworn Ben said that was not a good fit a week ago.
I think that's just great content for the rest of us because, like, as a team, that team can get anywhere from 1st to 12th, bro. Damn. Probably not 12th, but like...
Zuma said, y'all want to hear FaZe's team. Now he's full-blown trolling.
Oh, Tom doesn't give a fuck.
Now he's full-blown trolling, bro. He's not doing this in my stream. He's not telling us the FaZe roster in my stream.
No, he's baiting. He's baiting, bro.
All I know is anyone who truly believes Scrap was gonna fucking jump ship to Falcons. Liddy has never watched an interview with Scrap or anything. Like, he wants to win as much as they hate him. And like, bro, I don't think you ever leave Paco.
Dude. Listen,
I'm not leaking anything. I'm just
listen.
Dude,
I don't know if he. Listen,
I'm
whether he
so
goes,
tired of this roster shit, bro. Like, people are just saying dumb shit.
All right, bro. Fuck these guys. Actually, I'm so glad they're splitting, bro. Fuck me, dude. I swear that's actually the worst. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing they could have done. They fucked up, bro. Look at me, bro. I look like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, bro. And then AG is like, holy fucking shit. I think in the AR, the majority of the time. I love fucking with AG.
But whatever you think about Simp, aBeZy, and Cell breaking apart, it's pretty clear that it may well have been necessary, right? I mean, Shotzzy came out with some VODs from when they'd first picked up Mercules and put some practice in initially. This was a Skyline they were playing here. And, well, if I just put it on the full screen so you guys can see the numbers. I mean, have a look at this. Huke's 22 in 13. Shotzzy's 24 in 19. Mercules is dead even. Dashy's almost double positive. Simp's 15 in 20. aBeZy 17 in 21. Cellium's 13 in 24. I will say, though, what is Cell doing on the map for Drazah to be 22 and 29 and Cell just has no engagement? But, you know, whatever. Obviously, that was the previous team that had plenty of issues on that FaZe roster towards the end of the season. But you can understand, can't you, looking at scoreboards like this, that the FaZe team was of the opinion to be like, okay, you know what, something does have to give at this point. And, well, who's going to look the best out of that trio? Who's going to be in a better off position, right? Of course, there's talk about where Neptune could go and where he might end up. There's been some discussion about the Gentlemates in recent days as well, and there's some Gentlemates guys in the replies here discussing it, so we'll see if that's where Neptune eventually resides. But is aBeZy going to be better off if he does team with HyDra, Kenny, and Scrap as well? Is Simp going to form a team that he says he's going to form over at FaZe that's going to be very competitive? How are Falcons going to get on with all of the talents, but also all of the questions about a roster like that? So very much intrigued to your thoughts, as always, on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
On top of that, you have 0-4 caked up, bro. Like, I was trying to make me act up and shit. So kicked up. Yo, can we watch an 0-4 walkout? We'll live, bro. Chat, where is it, bro? Yo, is this OD that I'm actually trying to look for this? Probably so OD. Holy fuck. Chat, where is it, bro? Where is this shit? Yo, that's insane. I gotta delete my history. Yeah, where is it, bro? Yo, this is insane, bro. Wait, no, I remember seeing this shit. Bro, what? Yo. Alright, I gotta get out of here.